technical seminars are an Intertech production. For instructor-led .NET, Java, and XML courses, visit us at www.intertech.com.
So this is how we can take advantage of ASP.NET Ajax without having to really write any custom JavaScript, which is awesome. It really saves us a ton of time. And of course, all those scripts are automatically sent to the client side. Well, they're not actually included in the page, but instead the page references those scripts. And when you actually take a look at the source code, when you do view source from your browser, you'll notice that we're actually calling this special AXD handler, webresource.axd. And then we see all these goofy characters here which are referring to that exact script which is needed. Notice that we have different scripts that are being downloaded and included within the web page's memory, or the browser's memory if you will. So these of course are being requested from the server at runtime by calling a special handler, and then that actually includes all the source code for doing the Ajax requests of the server side. Keeps our web page pretty neat and clean. We don't have a ton of JavaScript here. Alright, so that's a very simple example showing us ASP.NET Ajax using the Ajax control tools. Now of course there's something called the Ajax control toolkit. Oftentimes when I teach Ajax, I also talk about the free control toolkit, which is entirely open source, free from Microsoft. A lot of it has been written by the developers at Microsoft, but some of it has also been developed by the open developer community. Those who are creating some solutions for free and then submitting them to the Codeplex site. If you haven't been to Codeplex yet, you should definitely check it out. Codeplex.com is a site for any developer or teams of developers to submit free solutions in whether it be .NET or what language, whatever language you want and that you'd like to share with others. Now one of the sites here you can see is the Ajax Control Toolkit.codeplex.com. Here you can go ahead and download the Ajax Control Toolkit in either JavaScript format. Also you can download the actual source code in .NET or all of it all together. Depends on if you actually want the source code so you can debug it or even make modifications yourself. That's one of its biggest strengths, is because it's entirely written in open source, you can go ahead and make modifications. Like, hey, I really like this one control, but I want to make changes to it. You can certainly go ahead and do that. You can make changes to those controls and you own them then. Now, they just updated the Ajax Control Toolkit just in September 30th, 2009, and they even added a couple of new controls. For example, one of them, that async file upload, can actually load files from the client to the server while also maintaining the page as something that the user can interact with instead of locking it and having the user wait for the upload to complete. Another really cool control that you definitely have to check out is Seadragon, and I'll talk about that shortly. Seadragon, of course, allows us to do these deep dives, these views of these images, all with a mouse button or with the cursor keys on the keyboard, allowing us to actually zoom in on certain pictures. Feedback from users, this is a sad part. Although the Ajax Control Toolkit has been around for a long time and they do continue to make several different updates to it and upload those latest changes, users still say that some of it is still buggy or new bugs have since been introduced in September 30th. Take a look at the users' feedback on the Codeplex site on anything you see. That's one thing that's really cool, is everything is open source, but also users are free to state whatever they want. Like on this latest version of the Ajax Control Toolkit, some of the actual people have said, you know what, I'm going back to an older version because this one had less bugs in it. Just to give you a little example of what we have here, I'm going to go look at default.aspx. So if I go here, here's my website too, and if I take a look at default.aspx, you can see that I'm taking advantage of some of the controls that are in the Ajax Control Toolkit. First off, notice in my bin folder, I've got the Ajax Control Toolkit.dll located right here. Now this was automatically added when I dragged and dropped one of these Ajax controls from the toolbox to the actual web page. Now I'm just going to go ahead and show you all the controls that come free with the Ajax Control Toolkit. You can see here I created a separate tab in my toolbox called the Ajax Control Toolkit. And what I did was I right-clicked it and said choose items, and then I actually browsed to that particular DLL. Now that DLL might have been located somewhere else at first, but when I did, and I actually chose that DLL, all these controls appeared right here in my toolbox. Notice, for example, I've got the C-Dragon I mentioned, combo box, numeric up-down extender, a slider extender. Here's a full-blown editor. And anytime I drag one of these controls onto the web page, a couple things are going to happen. First off, if the DLL is not in the bin folder yet, it's going to be added. Something else that's very important is up at the very top of the web page, you're going to see this register directive. And this register directive here is going to register that particular namespace for whatever control that you add. Notice also it sets up a tag prefix and then the namespace. Now down here I've got my required script manager control that I must always have for any Ajax page. You can only have one and only one of those guys on your page. I've got a standard button control, and notice he just called button 1, and there's his ending tag. Okay, well, something else I wanted to throw on here was something called the confirm button extender. Now this is one of the controls that's over here in the actual control toolkit, the confirm button extender. And of course, here he is. It's this guy right here. Now if I actually select this control and go to the property window, you'll notice there's some important properties I can set off of this guy. For example, what this button is supposed to do, the confirm button extender, is that if the user actually clicks the button, it's going to do a little JavaScript on the client side confirming that they really did actually want to click that button. For example, let's say you had a huge form for like an auto loan or something, and the user enters a bunch of information into the actual form, filling in all these different text boxes. If they actually click on the button, you can prompt them saying, hey, are you sure that this application is filled out correctly? You know, what if the button was actually a clear button that blew away everything that was in all the text boxes? Again, it can do that confirm. So that's why we have some confirmed text here. We can ask, hey, are you really freaking sure, right? We can go ahead and ask that, and if they say yes, because it'll be a yes/no modal dialog box, then it will actually post back to the server. Note that we also set the target control ID. Now keep in mind, this is one of the extender controls. You see, some of the controls in the toolbox are extender controls, and some are full-blown controls themselves. An extender control is entirely designed to modify the behavior of an existing control, and this one, of course, is modifying the behavior of the button control. Here's another example right here. You see that we have a text box here, and a label above it says, hey, pick a date. No big deal, right? Well, normally a user would have to manually type in a date, but maybe you want to be in a little bit more control of exactly how they enter that date information. With a calendar extender, it'll actually show them a full-blown calendar, and they can just go ahead and click on a calendar, choose a date, and have it automatically updated into that text box. Again, notice the calendar extender specifies which text box it is actually modifying. So that's pretty cool.
For more free learning resources and to see the latest lineup of our instructor-led .NET, Java, and XML courses, visit us at www.intertech.com.